fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What people do in the money, what they at you, in no at you. Covid money, miss away in the yellow rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste, and must have man to statue. Say me like a catch you, but they got in a figure you. Take the spit of money, God, and say that it's not you. One day, the man above end up, him a got up. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% free.
It burn me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption peace.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
Come me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The 100 the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in our fever. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't.
Stibby-dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we lovely. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Even Justice Panther now realized that the Jamaica Labour Party is drinking mad puss piss. But not only that, they're drinking it, they're fully overdosed on it. If you listen to Justice Panton today, Justice Panton would almost want to call them, come round the corner if you're bad like me today. Come round the corner and let me tell you what I want to tell you today. But Justice Panton really shut them down in his own speech. As agitated as Colonel Charles Jr. was, I'm sure Colonel Charles Sr. would be disappointed tonight. Boy, oh boy, me waste my money sending this boy a last school. It really made me look like fool today. But tonight, I intend to assist Colonel Charles with a bit of statutory interpretation on his confusion of Section 53.3. Hey, I don't only want to know say them dons. Justice Panton tell them today, oh no, don't read the report. I'm sure if Justice Panton was around the corner, Justice Panton would have told them, Roy would have understood the report better. Hey, Justice Panton really shut them down. Norman Ferguson, me case and come. Me case and come, Norman Ferguson. Murder. Anybody know Norman Ferguson? Call Norman Ferguson and tell Norman, me case and come. Me case and come. What a chalala today. Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us We saw today where the Integrity Commission commissioners were drafted into Parliament. But you must remember clearly the agitation of Colonel Charles after the tabling of the report against Andrew Holness. We're not going to play any of their snippets and clippets over here tonight, but we're going to go into it because Justice Panton came armed. Justice Panton said, "Hey, when I go feed my mad post space today, may I carry my own bottle of water. You ain't gonna drop a bit of Diddy baby oil in my water." "No," said Justice Panton. "I will stay clear of any impending charges because if we're not das or a tranquilizer in my water, I may start talking fathers like the Jamaica Labour Party. I may just talking what I heard people say about the report and not actually reading it myself." That Justice Panton sounded dunce. Right and Pam, Marlene Malaho fought. Let's say this there. Speaking slowly and nicely doesn't mean that one is not dunce. I mean, the nation knows Marlene. The nation knows Pam. Nah, man, you've come. Hey, nah, man, Ferguson. What a chalala today, because I saw you over there, nah, man. When Justice Panton was nailing them to the cross decently, academically, and nicely. But if this was in the pub or on the street, I'm sure Justice Panton would have gone more loosely after having a few drink or two. I mean, you JLP are talking out your backside, Dr. Justice Panton would have said if this was a conversation in the bar. I mean, how can you be so stupid as leaders of our country? I would imagine Justice Panton would be asking himself. Speaking out of your backside wouldn't be such a good thing to do as leaders of our country. But boy, did Colonel Charles tweet out of his backside today. I mean, you couldn't shut the bullshit up. I mean, it's a total waste of money sending Colonel Charles Jr. to school. I mean, he could eat his name in a bulla, even if you spell it for him before he eats the bulla. Oh, Colonel Charles done so. No, talk truth. Oh, Colonel Charles one managed for done so. Uno going to have to go watch it over PBCJ, because I have to painstakingly entertain it all day. I mean, now put myself through the crisis again. So who never watched it today, well, I have to go over there, go watch it. But there's points that I want to pick up on. Because Colonel Charles really, and come. But then again, me always I wonder, oh, Colonel Charles wicked so. But then Colonel Charles make we know say him got church on Saturday. Hey! Colonel Charles said, I go to church as well, but I go to church on Saturdays. The Governor General goes to church on Saturdays. The Prime Minister goes to church on Saturdays. Make of it, globalists, what you will. Make of it what you will. Jesus. Colonel Charles, you sure you're not under investigation? You sure you don't have nothing to hide, Colonel Charles? But given how Colonel Charles did bad and mighty after the report table, them have to come here and answer. This can't go further if them don't come here and answer questions. Colonel Charles You were mumbling and jumbling and skirting and misunderstanding today because Justice Panton shut on down with him open speech by telling her, "Uno dunce. Uno cannot talk about the report and uno don't read the report. Uno dunce, so. Who pay no school fee and who mark on a book? Hmm? Who pay no school fee and who mark on a book? Aren't they disappointed? I mean, the dollar per acre, Colonel Charles. Because you're papa buy land dollar per acre. The dollar per acre, Colonel Charles. You know, shame the way you turn out. After you papa thief so much land and thief poor people sin things when you go to school. And you come out of last school not being able to understand a statue. But Greg Christie slapped him in his face. My God, you could hear the Pluto from a mile. When Greg Christie slapped him and said, "You create the legislation. If there's a problem, go and fix it and move from here, you dunce son." Hmm? Oh, he went wrenched. Hmm? Because what I understood from today's proceedings, the creators of the Integrity Commission, the legislators, do not understand what they've legislated. Legislated mumbo jumbo. Not only that they did not understand what they've legislated, but they also do not understand the functions of the Integrity Commission. This is why Justice Panton is convinced they are not reading. They have not read the report. They have not read the legislation, even though they crafted it and passed it. They have not read it. And they do not understand it. But I'm going to try to help Colonel Charles tonight. You know, Colonel, because all of us, Colonel, went to law school and studied the mumbo jumbo. He is confused with section 53, subsection 3. So we're going to go to, that's the full, all of the subsection. But we're going to go particularly to subsection 3, which Colonel Charles is confused with. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to give an explanation of how the 3 different statutory interpretation rules works. Until the tabling in Parliament of a report, Colonel Charles, listen carefully, because I'm going to read even slower and denser than Favel Williams so you can understand, Colonel Charles. Listen carefully, Norman, because you were there today. Until the tabling in Parliament of a report under section 36, all matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person continuing involved, Colonel Charles, in such investigation shall be kept confidential, and no report or public statement shall be made by the Commissioner or other person in relation to the initiation or conduct of an investigation under the Act. Take careful note, Colonel Charles, of the word investigation in this subsection. You're missing the point here where it says the director of investigation and or any other person involved in such investigation. That's how you must read it. If you're reading it under the first rule of statutory interpretation, which is the literal rule. And the literal rule, you read the word as they are in black and white with the literal Collins or Thesaurus dictionary, meaning if the legislation doesn't provide an interpretation, then you read, Patricia Matthews, how are you? I will call you tomorrow. You read under the statutory interpretation rules of the, what we call the first rule, the literal rule. You read the word in black and white as they are. Your confusion, Perdell Charles, is whether it prevents the person under investigation from speaking. In black and white here, it makes no suggestion to the person under investigation. The other persons that it mentioned to Perdell Charles, it would be persons, Perdell Charles, who have knowledge of the investigation, whether it be those in Parliament or those who are commissioners or staff at the IC. If you take it to the other rule within statutory interpretation, the golden rule, what you apply this rule for, Perdell Charles, because you got a lot of school, so you kind of understand where I'm going with this. The golden rule, you apply that to remove the ambiguity that you are having and the ambiguity in which the law is written in some places. So when you're applying this section, you want to make sure that there is clarity within the law. You want to make sure there's consistently within the law, reading the whole act rather than just section 53, subsection 3, Perdell Charles. Then you go to the most important part of the statutory interpretation, which Philip Paulwell alluded to during the committee meeting, hearing rather. And this is what it used to be called the mischief rule, but it's been changed now to what is called the purposive rule, Perdell Charles. And what the purposive rule seeks to do, as it was called the mischief rule then, under the mischief rule, it looked at what mischief was it that Parliament was trying to solve when creating subsection 3 of section 53. If you're using the old mischief rule, then you would say the mischief that Parliament was trying to solve, Perdell Charles, is to protect those who are under investigation from undue disclosure in public. If you're using the purposive rule, which is the right one I would have used in this instant, Perdell Charles, is you look at the purpose of why the law was created and what purpose it was trying to achieve. The purpose it was trying to achieve here, Pernell Charles, is that it was protecting the declarant or those under investigation before a report is being tabled. Having said all of that, Pernell Charles, nothing in subsection 3 prevents the declarant from waiving their anonymity and suggests that they are under investigation. You see how easy that is, Pernell Charles? Was it hard? Was it? I mean, a first year law student, because that's statutory interpretation. We've all done that in our first year at law school, Pernell Charles. Even if you're doing a law diploma, you would have gone through the route of statutory interpretation in your first year at law school when you're doing the English legal system, Pernell Charles. So I am baffled by your confusion. Or is it deflection because your wing have been clipped? Because one, when the Prime Minister tied the thing up in court, so there's not much can be said about it. And everybody knows that the reason why I want to drape the IC and call them in front of is to do with the Prime Minister's declaration. But much couldn't explore of it. I know on a try to go to corner and bees and buzz about it. But then, three gentlemen particularly really kept you all in your place. So if Pernell Charles is still confused by section 53, subsection 3, ask him to contact Global Television. What we will do, we will go through a 4-year-old breakdown of the section with Pernell Charles and spoon-fed him as how to understand this section. But we know Pernell Charles is playing games, don't we? Dunce as they are, when them a play game, when they're playing the distortion and deflection game, come on, we all know that. I mean, the whole are with dunce, but I don't think we're as dunce as Pernell Charles is. So, we know the analysis story and the monkey games that they can often play with us. It's only a pity that this is not just the days of mainstream media, where story can be bought and sold and buried. In it, Pernell Charles. Bunch of mafias. The last time I looked, I not see anything come up on the something for my youth yet, so leave him for tomorrow. But Justice Panton, you know what I keep calling him Dr. Panton. Justice Panton, really, even though he made them knowing to they say, I'm not feeling in an argument, in a combative or argumentative move today. I'm more in a docile state. But Justice Panton never make fun of them. Because wherever he had to place it on them, and place it on them really hard and decently. And what little boy they forget? Pernell Charles Jr. Everybody watch TV, you know? And everybody watch YouTube. And everybody watch social media. Pernell Charles. The commissioners, especially Greg Christie and Justice Panton, they came prepared for you. They watch your behavior in Parliament over the last how much weeks with regards to your reaction of Andrew Holness's declaration and how you have treated them. They're aware of that. Don't think they came in front of you not prepared. So look how me I gonna make Colonel Charles look like a fool today. So don't think so when them attack whenever you directly they are talking to. They are just being professionals. They are just being professional, Colonel Charles. They were speaking directly to you today. I mean, if this was a pub conversation or a conversation outside of Parliament, I'm sure, Colonel Charles, you would have had it. You would have had it thick and fast today. Because them come prepared for you. And by the way, the Integrity Commission, Colonel Charles, their job is not to interpret the law. Colonel, their job is to apply the law, Colonel Charles. It is the job of the courts, though, Colonel. It is the job of the courts, Colonel, to interpret the law. Hence, you have what is called statutory interpretation, Colonel Charles, meaning when things of such comes before the court, Colonel, the court look at the rules of which to be applied based on how the law is written or the purpose of the legislation. I hope Jamaicans are not queuing up Colonel Charles for you to represent them if you're still in practice. Because it was quite a disgraceful behavior today, as it was in other of your behavior. You came lack of understanding, Colonel. I mean, it's like they've wrapped up algebra and simultaneous equation together and say, Colonel Charles, make a hybrid mathematics sequence here, Colonel. You just couldn't understand. Or were you so embarrassed, Colonel Charles, that you were acting like that school-grown bully that someone has had the courage to stand up and say, oh, you fat old git, shut up. Shut it. Not because you eat more burger and is more bloated than us, means that we're afraid of you. Not because you're growing horn, Colonel Charles, and we're not, means that we're afraid of you. Colonel Charles look like he's the bully boy of the Jamaica Labour Party. Let me lead the charge against the IC. What a day when your time come, Colonel Charles. Delroy Chuck. You're quite confused, aren't you? I mean, Minister of Justice and Minister of Constitutional Affairs, I guarantee you, if you soak a paper bag, soak it for days in water, and then you put Marlene Malahoo forth and Delroy Chuck into that wet, soaked paper bag, I guarantee you it will be a great struggle to get themselves out of that soaking wet paper bag. It will be an awful struggle. But they are responsible for justice, legal, and constitutional affairs in our country. Marlene Malahoo Fort tried to embarrass this young man because he gave Marlene Malahoo Fort quite an excellent answer. The answer that they used the other day to shut down Mark Gold in motion, the sub judice rule, or the sub judice rule. And Marlene Malahoo Fort turned around to ask him, "You're not an attorney, are you?" He said, "My attire may not present me as one, but certainly I am an attorney." And bear in mind, I'm paraphrasing with hyperbole. Showing shades, Marlene Malahoo Fort, at someone who's awfully brighter than you, Marlene Malahoo, is just receiving hot porridge on your face. Because Marlene Malahoo Fort, it proves how dunce you are. You didn't even research who they are. Marlene Malahoo Fort, your government appoint them, and you're not aware of who your government appoint. Hybrid force. I mean, Marlene Malahoo Fort is of the view that the current Integrity Commission we have ought to be ripped up and rewritten. I wonder what's Marlene's intention. What is Marlene's intention? Marlene want to rip up the thing and write it over. From Andrew report has been tabled, everybody wants to rip up the Integrity Commission Act. Even Justice Pantana met them know today it's going to take another 20 years for them to do something about it. But see how unfair they are. They want to break the sub judice rule, bring the sub judice rule, bring the IC, want to ask them about questions. And this was coming from Marlene Malahoo Fort about the corporate veil, lifting the corporate veil, which is investigating Andrew Holness Company, which is a separate legal personality to Andrew Holness. That is where the corporate veil comes in. But Andrew Holness have this very issue before the court. And this was where this gentleman provided her quite the eloquent answer that he provided when Marlene Malahoo show our shades at him. Even if he's not a lawyer, dunce, but Marlene, speaking on the legal advice, Malahoo Fort is the type of sentence would have been uttered under legal advice. But because una realize that una don't have nothing to ask them, una bring them in front of una and think una could insult them, but they came armed and dangerous. Justice Pantan even tell una, me not drink what una and Diddy I walk and drop in a people drink. Because it have the whole on who walk and talk bullshit and I talk out on the backside. I mean, able when me walk out here to them, me start talk out on my backside like, oh no. So, me can't me old water. Come here, say, Uno and Diddy. I walk and I drop things in a people drink to get them do and say, we don't want them to do. You understand? So me not drink it. Not drinking it, said Justice Stanton.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent, it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corrupt people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter, it's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial...
One of the things today exposes in the committee meeting is that our legislators, when writing and debating the legislation, clearly shows that our legislators are dunce, because they write the legislation with a lot of conflict in application. With one hand, them give you power in the right hand, and then them take it back in the left hand. What them say, Integrity Commission is not accountable to anybody, then Integrity Commission is accountable, yes, so blah, blah, blah. The Integrity Commissioners have pointed to them of conflicts within the legislation that they ought to amend. That's why when the learner, the so-called attorney, Colonel Charles, in his bereft of confusion, Greg Christie told him, you write it, you have a problem with it, go and fix it yourself. Where come bother me with the problem where you create for? Did I create the problem? Was it me or was it you that create the problem? Go and fix the problem yourself and stop harass me and bother me about the nonsense of your misunderstanding, said Greg Christie to Colonel Charles. But one of the great parts that came was when Justice Panton set them straight. Justice Panton, all you mean to come talk, say, I will leak the report. Apply logic on a damn buffoon, said Justice Panton. All along, the report with we, and nobody don't hear radam about the report. As soon as the report get to Parliament, on a mouth start fly like BG. Look into it logically, said Justice Panton. Justice Panton really deal with them today. And I'm sure if it was on the street, Justice Panton would have given them a lot more. A lot more. Justice Panton said, look into yourself. Look on the mouth, on a light beige mouth. But just a popcorn prop Chris and nice mouth can't miss. Because no one can blame we say we are the leakers. But the report is safe with us until it get in a Gillette lap and Uri mouth. And I know said Gillette and Uri lap and mouth can't keep themselves steady. So who do you think, said Justice Panton, is the chatterbox and the mole around here? If it's not the wife of the Prime Minister, who else do you think it would be? Who do you think it would be if it's not for the lobbermouth wife of the Prime Minister? As soon as a report get in at the lobbermouth wife of the Prime Minister hand, Granny Sus and Ghetto Queen George Davis know the details of the report. Ask yourself why and how. If it's not the Prime Minister wife and her lobbermouth, whose mouth do you think it would be? Why would we wait until the Prime Minister wife get it before we start talk? The People's National Party, other than Julian Robinson, didn't have much question to ask, and I don't think they should have asked much. Philip Paulwell made it clear that he's not in agreement with these type of bringing the IC before them, because Philip Paulwell knows the purpose of bringing the IC before them is just particularly to deal with Andrew's report, which is not warranted. It is just malicious and vexatious. Justice Panton also remind them of the thing that Andrew Holness and Pernell Charles, Delroy Chuck and Marlene Malahoo fought, and all of them stand up right in a parliament there so and said, but what Justice Panton carefully did, and Pernell Charles misunderstood that as, oh God, me don't know, oh, your father must have cried tonight over the amount of money we waste. If your father not cry over the amount of money we waste, him happy to waste him money for failure, Pernell Charles. That's the most I can say. Justice Panton point out to Uno 2022 and which other year when Andrew Holness was fully behind the IC, fully supported and appreciated the IC. Colonel Charles latch onto it, not realizing that Justice Panton is saying to him, don't Colonel Charles. Andrew supported the IC all those other times. Carl, no, you don't get what Dr. Justice Panton is saying. Andrew supported the IC all those other times and its work. But now that it's got to do with him is a complete U-turn. You never get that CSM answer to your Pernell? Oh God, boy, I'm sorry for you. Oh, which teacher mark your book at school? We want to talk to your teacher. We want to ask where you put a peer, your teacher to mark your book. You never understand. So that's what Justice Panton is saying. Andrew agree with the IC then. Andrew praised the IC then. Andrew was all for the IC then. But all of a sudden now, the IC this and the IC that. You don't understand that Justice Panton was explaining Andrew Holness double standard to you? Are you saying you didn't understand that? Or are you just playing the dumberer and dumberesser? Which is it, Pernell Charles? Because it cannot be, Pernell, that you are so dumb. It cannot be that you are such an academic failure, Pernell Charles, to have been through the mollywass of the higher institutions, but has come out worse than Roy and Pam. Because I'm sure Roy or Pam would have had a clearer understanding of today's proceedings, Pernell Charles. Even when you get the answer, Pernell Charles, you're still, and let me say this to you, Pernell. Stop asking questions within with interest. We understand it. We know the process. We know what the IC is saying. Don't draw us into your confusion, Pernell. Oh, don't do that. I mean, not all of us are as confused as Pernell. Not all of us have the misunderstanding that Pernell has. So when Pernell will keep reinforcing the point that I'm asking on behalf of the nation, on behalf of who, Pernell? The Justice Panton said 70% of the electorate is not engaged. So who are you representing? Those whose land you've stolen? Those who you have deprived of wealth? I mean, Pernell Charles is overdoing it now. Pernell Charles is overdoing it. And I don't know why Pernell Charles continue to overdo it. I hope, though, Pernell, at no point we will find out that you are one of the illicit mumbo jumbos. Because you see, Pernell, what that would have done, it would lay you bare in public and would point to us where Pernell mischief and anger and frustration was coming from all along. Don't you think that is the conclusion we would have drawn, Pernell? Why am I sorry for you? Like a ship sailing out, Pernell, on a sea so rough and thorn, so far away from home, Pernell, so far from shore. I mean, the Labour Party is on drift, Pernell, aren't they? I mean, on just Darcy pitching and tossing all about. I mean, the anchor you've thrown overboard, Pernell, you don't have enough rope to hit the bottom of the ocean. What are you going to do, Pernell? What is Pernell going to do? Going to do? What is Pernell going to do? Abka say we have a plan. All right then, Abka. What is your plan? Abka says it's a battle for the heart and mind at the next general election. What shall we do? What shall we say? What shall we do with them? Said Abka. Abka wants the heart and mind of the Jamaica people. Boy, oh boy. Nationwide just walk and let them go pan whistle, you know. Abka Fitz Henley, Dennis whatsoever rather him name is. Can you imagine? A Jamaica people don't want to wake up, you see. Because if Abka can come from nationwide, come back for the heart and the mind, I wonder if him go carry on a cliff party on the 31st of December. I don't know, Abka. I'm just asking if that's where you're battling for them heart and mind figure. Me don't know. PNP call and wholeness to condemn Everard Warmington. Let me say this, PNP. Politically, Andrew Holness is too weak at the moment to take on Everard Warmington in a year. Me know what I ask for, and me know what the country want. But if Andrew can't deliver it, him just cannot deliver it. And I remember when Everard there got take set pan him with here. When him fire Everard and come out, come tell us say Everard resign, and Everard come out, come tell us say damn lie, I fire and fire me. But then remember, so when the Viper them did take set pan him, I protect him against the Vipers. I never miss it, Everard. I never miss it, so. Me just I can't news like how news car you either add or take off of it. And that's a news car. But you can't say you never see so. But Andrew cannot take on Everard Warmington at the moment. He's too weak to do it. You don't want to put cow tongue Everard Warmington when tongue big. Like when cows soon have calf. And you know what big land when we know what ton big when cows soon have calf. That big tongue, Andrew doesn't want that start flattering at the moment. The most Andrew can do is turn a blind eye to Warmington and either act like he doesn't hear Warmington or act as if he doesn't hear the People's National Party or civil society asking to reprimand Warmington. Cholua, you mad? You mad? Or you feel fight when you're weak? Anybody used to fight when them weak, them will be destined to lose the fight. Trouble what? Trouble Warmington now? I mean, you mean Andrew Holness in a weak, thiefing's corrupt state got trouble the chief juggernaut in a party, the push broom of the hog pen? Are you serious, PNP? Come on, PNP, you know, ask for something we're achievable. Andrew, one thing with Andrew fool, but he no fool. He fool, you know, but he no fool. Fool people will put them hand in your mouth, but fool people, nah, go take up fire in them hand. Andrew Oldness not trouble Everard Warman. You mad? Trouble what? Trouble Everard Warmington? Are you crazy? Andrew would get the laddering of his life if he ever trouble Warmy. So look here, wanna pick past something else for Andrew though, and leave Warmy alone. The two person where Andrew have to tiptoe around at the moment is Darrell Vaz and Warmington. Trust me. If Andrew not have to tiptoe round nobody, he have to tiptoe round Vaz and Warmington. And like a hoe, somebody tell Warmington not to attend me. And like a hoe, you see, Darrell Vaz, every tapping need them a shake. Every step Darrell Vaz needs a shake. Darrell Vaz, since him lose East Portland, and there's a high possibility that Darrell Vaz's hands may be yanked off East Portland if political strategy is correctly deployed. But me not got advice on anyway, can't not pay me. One and a half pay me, some not advice, you know. But Darrell Vaz is having a hissy fit. It might come a point where you might see Darrell Vaz running down your street barefoot in mini skirt and blue and pink wig, parading around the street, remembering the glorious days of Darrell Vaz in control. But the hands are being slowly yanked Darrell Vaz off the rusty grip of power, where you take upon yourself only to abuse the people of Portland. Darrell Vaz in a big problem. I don't know if we don't say Andrew Gone hip hop. Anyone remember the hip hop song where Andrew Gone now? Remind text it in the chat. But Andrew Gone hip hop, oh. Hey, shit up, Andrew. You left reggae. Silence has shit up reggae is, pardon the expression, but one got to be bloody real at times. Look at how shit up hip hop is at the moment. And at hip hop, Andrew promote. Let me go to Instagram and me find it quick with the bastardized song name. Shit up hip hop. And in keeping with the theme right across social media, I want to extend my deepest sympathies to the family of World Dog, who is in hospital at the moment after that terrible incident, and his friend who has lost his life. A lot of these things have gone too far and is getting out of hand, but we send our support and sympathy from the Global Television Group. No one should have to gone through such a grave situation that has become a risk to their life, end up in the loss of a friend's life. And it's quite a tragic situation, I must admit. But we will wait to see what the investigators come up with, whether this was a random attack or was it a targeted attack. But this whole social media galanging is becoming too much now. But I want to find Andrew song, because I want to remind you the shit up galanging with Andrew gone panya now. Hate relationship such as for CVM and Andrew. Vaz wife to defeat Buchanan in East Portland. No, sir. Murder she wrote written. With Andrew Page, with dirty Andrew Page. Hold on, the dirty Andrew. Hold on, the dirty Andrew. I mean, I have to find the song. Not that dirty Andrew. Yeah,
India is now looking to develop itself
I know this.
as the technological hub
No,
of the Caribbean.
no get to the set. No one you sleep.
To remind people
It is Friday.
a few weeks ago, Jamaica, you're not going to build.
When we can't find back the song now, no sir, this hot me. Murder. Hold on there. I just song me I try to find And I can't remember the name of the hip hop song. Where the price.
India is now looking to develop itself as the technological hub of the Caribbean. And therefore will become the Silicon Valley.
Pandora's back. Pandora and her
In
back.
our intention, we're going to make Portmore Paris, and we're going to make Portmore the city Paris, and we're going to make Portmore the technological capital of the Caribbean, because you have here the human resources, and as I said, a lot of young people. You have the young people.
When I hear
who have
the junk
basic
say,
requirement to be given that what they call IT training. And you also have the global services industry. You call it BPO. But we move away from that long time.
oh yes, Willie Dan. No man, I know that.
It's called
I don't know nobody gonna start. No, I know that. I know that. I want new fashion. Yes, yeah.
just shows the difference between them and we. It's a they're not like us. Listen, they don't know what I'm saying. But anyway,
Right. Remember the song. They're not like us. Oh, they're not. Of course, because you shit up Prime Minister. At this point, look where you were. I mean, 2016 Prime Minister, you were in Clarks. How come you get in a shit? Hmm? How is it, Prime Minister, that you end up in a shit in 2024? But then again, that's what shoes does. In it, Prime Minister. Shoes tend to end up in a shit if you don't look where you go, Prime Minister, isn't it? Hmm? They are not like us. Of course, if you're gonna shit up yourself like hip hop, from reggae to hip hop, I mean, where else are you going to go? Hmm? I mean, this man is just drowning. And what you doesn't realize, you big old fool man, a straw prime minister, will not be able to hold your weight. Go down, you must. Or Kendrick Lamar, you said to that song, they're not like us. So you're going to Kendrick Lamar. We have to go find out how much of Diddy's baby oil was rubbed over Kendrick Lamar because Prime Minister. Here Darrell Vaz want leave of absence. They go start campaign because boy, me now go have time. When the time call, by that time, me may lose the people them what will sell them vote to me. So me have to go there from early and the oldness, go reassure Portland that no worry, me will buy on a vote. And if you don't want to sell it, liquor dearer this time. Boy, me will have to buy it because me want it. Then me and can just get kicked out, so. Remember, say me and can go foreign, you know. Because we don't have diplomatic visa. We have visitor's visa. You might never can tell if them have seal indictment over the FIMI with me and domestic and crime involvement. You might never can tell what them find out about Diane Simmet and have a seal indictment FIMI. Uno no say Chang na go there. So why uno want me to put myself at risk where Horace Chang na put himself in a deputy prime minister? Would you like to go and have a sit down with Kamala Harris? Your deputy prime minister, innit? Or would you like to go and sit down with the Minister of National Homeland Security? It's rather strange. Jamaica getting help from the US to fight crime. But at no point the National Security Advisor for Jamaica can travel to the US. Him rather send a commissioner who is military trained but does not understand policing and have very little intellectual and bureaucratic skills. Isn't it, Commish Anderson? And then we've tiraded into another pen pusher that has transferred himself to pushing keyboard keys into high position. And my God, since him come, him just order mass shooting across the country. Even we market now don't see it anymore because Dr. Blake will make sure you set up, your party, your market, your shop and bar, and everywhere come under attack. Because Dr. Blake wants to prove to you that I have got a handle on policing. Assist me, please, Prime Minister, will you? While you're at it, Prime Minister, go around the country. Make sure you held a gun at all of these superintendents and let them tell you in public, Prime Minister, that murder is down in this police division by a wealthy percentage. But then Jamaicans are just dropping like flies. Murder, the Prime Minister said, is down. Darrell Vaz said, JLP, one of it take to the street from now to ensure the JLP third term. Could you, for us, Darren Vaz, explain exactly what that means, how it works, and more importantly, Darrell Vaz, how it would be funded, because Darrell Vaz is calling for an early campaign. Who, Darrell Vaz, will be funding that early campaign? While our roads, Darrell Vaz, need fixing and repairing, while our hospitals is short of bed, x-rays, CTs, MRI, and ventilator, Darrell Vaz, who will be funding that early campaign of fear that you're having, Darrell Vaz? Why are you getting into a hissy fit? Why, from the East Portland candidates been chosen, Darrell, you just out here a walk and a walla in a mud? Your incompetency, your willful blindness, they're all catching up with you, aren't they? Your failure to implement your promises, the lies you told to the people to get their votes and their support. Is it because it's all catching up with you, Darrell Vaz? Why, from when you just off the limb or run around and behave like you're crazy and that you need assistance and help, because the crazier the merrier? I mean, maybe, Darrell Vaz, if you all were doing what the people elected you to do, then you wouldn't have to be in such a state of worry at the moment. Because you see, Darrell Vaz, when your work and your track record speaks for you, Darrell Vaz, you really don't have to say much, do you? Hey. But because there's nothing to speak for you, then you have to go the early go make it up. I wonder if it's a call to unleash violence, Darrell Vaz. Take to the street. What does that mean, Darrell? What could be the implications of your utterances, Darrell Vaz? I don't know, me just ask. All right. Justice Sykes says the court administration is not to be blamed for the shoddy court buildings. I know me always attack Justice Sykes, but Justice Sykes is right here. Ministry of Justice, Delroy Chuck, egg-faced Delroy Chuck, can you try and understand your job portfolio? The functions and responsibilities of your portfolio, Delroy Chuck. The courts, Delroy Chuck, are to be maintained, funded by the Ministry of Justice, not by the court administration. Who would provide the court administration, the budget? Delroy Chuck. The Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Justice through the Ministry of Finance. That's where a budget would be allocated for them. But it is your duty, Ministry of Justice, to do the auditing, financing of our court buildings across the country. Likewise, our prisons Ministry of Justice. I mean, and this is not just Delroy Chuck's failure. This whole disintegration of these services didn't just happen in the last 8 years. These are massive failures 4 or 5 decades old of lack of maintenance, upkeep, development, and whatever. Similarly, why we say Cornwall Regional is has fell into what it has fell into, because since the hospital was given to Jamaica, there was no form of maintenance to keep the thing up and running. So, this is one of Delroy Chuck other failure again. This got nothing to do with the ministry, with the court's administrative branch. A Ministry of Justice responsibility to audit and finance the upkeep and the development of the court them. But Delroy Chuck just keep batting the blame from one era to the other, rather than accepting the responsibilities of his grand failures. Fed up of them. Me fed up of them. So the Observer chimed in, and the Observer them has said, them understand the emergence and almost immediate adoption of the term emancipendence by the Jamaican populace is perhaps a major indication of its organic nature and the evolutionary thinking of the people. So here what the Observer said to it, because it seems as if we have adopted the slang emancipendence, then it is also right for the private sector to just lump Emancipation Day, which is the 1st of August, and Independence Day, the 6th of August, into a consecutive weekend celebration. Lump the 2 days into a weekend celebration. So the PSOJ and all of them friend them have a plan to lump way up and fix way up how them want it to be. Nothing to do with us, barring them. Do I have anything more to talk about? Yes. Government say, government do. Government promise you, government not do. And just say, not only that I'm going to turn Portmore into Jamaica's 15th parish, but I'm going to make it the Silicon Valley of Jamaica. When you see me go India go cut the deal over there. So me go and me come back home with Silicon Valley. What I go say now? Silicon Valley. But remember though, Prime Minister, aren't we the superpower of the Caribbean? Well, I mean, it won't be long, Prime Minister. It's mid-October now. It won't be, I mean, if you listen to radio now, Prime Minister, you would hear the O Night Divine Christmas Carol, or Silent Night, or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because you see, Prime Minister, it's an annual thing. We hear it every year. I mean, your promises, Prime Minister, are like Christmas carols. We get them every year. There's nothing to really be elated about and say, oh, whoopsie daisy. I mean, every year, Prime Minister, there's always a grandiose. So come on, sing the next Christmas carol. Conference is coming up. Who doesn't sing Christmas carol at conference? Who doesn't sing Christmas carol at conference? But when you listen to this Prime Minister speak with conviction. And if you don't know that this man is a corrupt liar, you would tend to believe every word that the Prime Minister uttered out of his mouth. Because him tell him lie them with a level of believability if you're not aware of the Prime Minister's behavior and practices. But my hope is for the people of Jamaica to wake up. Because it's only then our problem will be solved. What we have now will continue for the foreseeable future until we, the people, says enough is enough. Time for a change. I'm not having this anymore. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight on the Global Television Group. Join us back here tomorrow when we will continue to probe all of what the whole of them are walk and hide. Okay. So thank you all very much for being here this evening. Join us back tomorrow. Hold on there. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, the Julian fit there. A report of the Integrity Commission Director of Investigation, Mr. Miguel Asher Phillips, was tabled in Parliament. The report has since been published on the Integrity Commission website. Investigation report into concern that Mr. Miguel Phillips, Member of Parliament, failed to file his statutory declaration with the Integrity Commission for 2022 in breach of the Integrity Commission Act. Do I have time to look into the actual report now? Hold on there, Miguel Phillips. The Commission of Directed Prosecution pursuant to the Integrity Commission Act, inclusive of Section 54, therefore reviews the subject investigation report and has ruled that upon careful consideration, it was determined that Mr. Miguel Phillips should be charged for breaches under Section 43(1), subsection A, subsection 1, subparagraph A of the Integrity Commission Act for failing to submit a statutory declaration for the period ending 31st of December 2022. The matter was referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution, and on recommendation of the Director of Investigation, following the conclusion of the investigation with respect to possible breaches of requirement of Section 39, subsection 1 of the Integrity Commission Act, and committant an offense, hold on there. Me just make sure no illicit galang in the allegation. This matter concern filing of statutory declaration for the period issue. Whenever or not Mr. Miguel Phillips, a public official, required to file statutory declaration under Section 39 and 41 of the Integrity Commission Act, whether or not Mr. Phillips committed an offense contrary to Section 43, subsection 1, subparagraph A of the Integrity Commission Act, whether or not his failure to pay the fixed penalty imposed by Section 43, subsection 3, constitute an offense under Section 43, subsection 1, subparagraph A of the Integrity Act, despite having filed the statutory declaration. When considering whether an offense was committed by Mr. Phillips, it is necessary to determine whether or not he was required to file statutory declaration of assets, liability, and income for the period ending 31st of December 2020. Hold on, so I'm just looking to see if I see anything from the Corruption Prevention Act, which there's nothing. It's purely to do with late filing. But can Mr. Phillips answer this question? Was your fine paid on time? Can you answer that question to the public? But tomorrow I will. It's a 4-page document. I will go through it tomorrow morning. I will do a share screen on it tomorrow morning and go through it. Mr. Phillips is to be charged for an offense of failure without reasonable cause to submit a statutory declaration for the period contrary to Section 43. So I didn't give a reasonable cause as to why I never filed on time. And you've made it clear that you've paid the fine, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Phillips. But was it in the same circumstances as Dwayne Vaz, where he paid the fine but paid late and thereby still subjected to a charge? But, however, tomorrow we will go through more of this. So thank you very much. For those of you, if you want to read the report for yourself, it is now published on the IC website. It is not one of those long, lengthy documents. It's a 4-page document. So it should be easy for you to make your way through it. Thank you all very much for being here tonight. Join us back tomorrow morning, where we will look at Miguel Phillips' statutory declaration. Thank you all very much, and good night from the Global Television Group.